Before you think about all the good scary movies for your Halloween, think about this good episode of Off the Top Rope with your boy Ty Asbury live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the CEV Sports Podcast Network. And Big Time Pro Wrestling, this is especially for you because my live guest, she brings all the chaos in the promotion. She's starting out in pro wrestling in dominant fashion. Hear her story on Off the Top Rope. She brings the chaos. The one, the only, Carmen Chaos. Joins your boy Ty Asbury on Off the Top Rope, Halloween Eve, Saturday night. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to watch the best wrestling podcast around with some sizzle, it is Off the Top Rope. Yeah. It's Monday night, and you damn sure know what's going down. It is Off the Top Rope Live with your boy Ty Asbury. And for me, Halloween ain't over yet because you are getting one of the biggest treats in pro wrestling tonight on this episode. Big Time Pro Wrestling. This lady is big time, but she brings the chaos. My live guest, Carmen Chaos.
That's right. That's me. Hi, everybody.
Carmen, what is up live tonight? You're on the show. What is going on?
Hi, nothing much. Going good. Just here being Carmen, being chaos. What else?
Well, every show I do, I gotta have my research. I do my research before I go on because I don't look like a fool in front of everybody live, and including my guest, which is you. But you've had like a really cool journey going into wrestling. I read your story. You started out as a fan and you wanted to say, you know what, I'm gonna take this fan passion that I had to make it into a reality. Now, my question for you is, has that hit you yet, or do you just say every day, I can't believe this is going on?
It really hasn't hit me yet because I really do think that I'm still that fan watching at home. I'm still there Monday Night Raw. I keep up. I literally have a schedule of shows I watch because I have to, each day I watch Raw, NXT, Dynamite, onto Impact, the next show, just trying to keep up, and I'm still keeping up while I'm also chasing my own dream. So it's kind of cool to still have that fan feel while also being like, oh, I'm actually doing this.
And that's really cool because I never heard anybody say that before. Like, I keep up with Impact, SmackDown, and there's promotions out there that you have your choices now. Like you said, I'm watching these shows, but this is what I actually do. I'm actually doing this like what I see on TV because I'm sure you've done TV or whatever. And you brought up a really good point. And do you think like it will ever hit you, or it's just, is that hard to say? Or
I think I'll always have that fan feeling because honestly, even as a wrestler, you still have to have that love for it because once you don't have that love for it, what are you doing it for?
Yeah, that's really a really good point. Because like you, I'm sure there's people out there who just
a paycheck.
A paycheck, yeah. And I'm it's like people just have a paycheck to do what they do. But I really believe now I'm getting older now. It's like, you live once, do what makes you happy. I mean, sometimes you gotta take sacrifices. And I think in like being a wrestler, I really believe you have to make sacrifices and being the best. I mean, I'm sure you train every day, working out, whatever. It's like, and you just said before we came on the show, gymnastics, you had to work. I'm sure you got training. Like, how do you catch a break, or you don't even get a break?
I don't. between the gym, work, gymnastics. This is something that I want to view as a job, and what better way to get better at a job than to be the most qualified person. So, I'm not always a gymnast, anything like that. Like, I literally just now started. But the thing is that whenever I put my mind to something that I know that I have to do it, like that is the best thing for it. I know for a fact that I have a kind of marketability, being one of the very few trans people in wrestling. So why not push it and be like, oh, not only am I trans, but I can be able to handspring, I can be able to do all this and be the best person that I can possibly be.
Well, God bless you, man. And I'm being for real. I didn't even know like your backstory. You said wrestling has evolved where people who are trans, no matter what your sexuality is, people can be because they wherever you are now wrestling, the door is open for you. But I really think it wasn't like that back then. It seems like back then in wrestling, it was like a certain line that you had to be in the business. But it's so involved now. And I got to say, Carmen, God bless you for telling us your story and people who don't know anything about you just learn that tonight about you. And God bless you because you're doing what everybody else does because you're a person. I mean, F it. You're doing what you're doing.
Right, right. And that's what a lot of times people oftentimes forget, is that there's actually a person behind like all these labels, things like that. That's why, in the grand scheme of things, that you should treat people with the kind of, respect, dignity that you would want to be treated with yourself. So I think that wrestling has changed because, the LGBT card is no longer just a punchline. It's no longer like, just for a little kind of smoke break. It's like, oh, it is part of the actual person, but it doesn't have to be part of the gimmick.
And you are, and that you and Nyla Rose, y'all are people. You breathe, you sleep, you do all that stuff. And you and Nyla Rose, it's like you two are really, really kicking that bridge over and paving the way for people who are trans and doing their thing. And it's really a remarkable story. What you and her are doing, and you're just living you what your passion is. And I'm really happy that you're doing that. You're not letting anybody beat you down.
That's right. And she's actually a really good friend of mine. So it's kind of cool to hear, me and her, because, I she was actually I used to do like pageants and shows and things like that. So whenever I told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm starting wrestling training." It was this kind of really cool because she kind of gave me that, confidence I needed in order to be like, "Okay, I can actually do this. This is something that is, within my reach." Because it's hard enough being in a small state where I am, to where it's even a smaller town where everyone already knew, whenever I did transition, that not only am I transitioning, that I'm becoming a wrestler. It kind of, in people's mind, it contradicts things, but it's kind of funny because, I've oftentimes, shown that, number one, it's all about the way that, you want to be. So I decided the day that I was like, okay, it's either I'm going to be a wrestler, or I'm going to end up 20 years down and being like, why did I never do that?
Yeah. And you brought up a good point, Carmen. Now you said you're in a small state. Actually, where are you based at?
West Virginia, believe it or not.
Okay, West Virginia. Now I'm based in upstate New York, so but I really think West Virginia probably has a lot more than what I have here in Waverly, New York, because it's like our main shopping area. We just have just one Walmart. That's it. So where I live, if you don't go to our Walmart, then you're effed. That's
Oh,
it.
basically.
It's like
That
I
is what is sad here, is that there's not much things to do. We're still basically a southern state, but it's kind of cool because I actually do some work with our Huntington Pride group here, and we have actually one of the largest prides here, and we got ranked one of the most gay friendly cities in the whole country. So I think it's cool that, we have this kind of, I'm kind of trying to be a bridge between the community that I'm from and, the wrestling world. So then, like, our crowds are now getting a little bit gay friendly, where it's like, you don't see people that you'd see at a normal wrestling show, because they're like, oh, there's actually there's actually somebody like me out there. We kind of had this divide because number one, our shows are in churches, and as you could probably imagine, the whole gay and church thing is not great. But it was kind of cool to be like that bridge, to be like, hey, I promise it's okay.
Well, if I don't know if you've been there, but one thing I've learned as getting older, church has really turned my life around. I still say it to till whenever go to church, and when you leave, you feel like if you just feel like that upbringing, just the world's off your shoulders. So if people watch it live, don't believe me. Take your ass to church. Church is
That's
good. I
right.
mean, it's
you
definitely a
you
good thing.
you absolutely should, because it is a great thing. It actually saved my mom's life. So I have nothing but love for church and things like that. My mom, struggled with West Virginia has a problem with addiction really bad, and it got my mom at a point pretty bad. But I'm glad to say that she's now 3 years clean. That's a big feat right there, because especially around here, we live in a town. We've actually had like Netflix documentaries and stuff on, being like, oh, we have a huge drug problem. They
And
call us Little Detroit, which is not great.
well, I'm sure that people in your area probably look at you and idolize you because you're branching out of that. You want nothing to do with that. I mean, people you want to see people succeed, but if you want to damage your life, that's on you. But you being a wrestler, and I know you got bigger goals you want to fulfill. I'm sure people are really looking at you in your area and idolizing you because you're a freaking pro wrestler. I mean, you can't beat that.
Right. Especially like, it's funny because I'll admit I expected to be booed out of the area. I thought that I was going to be public enemy number one. Like, here I am debuting in a Pentecostal church. I was like, okay, here I go. Well, there was a promo being cut by this huge wrestler in the match before, and he was like, I know who you all really came to see. And they started chanting my name, and I was like,
Oh, there you go.
I looked, and me and the promoter made eyes, and I went, did they say my name? And he was like, I think they did. And then next thing you know, my music is playing and stuff. I go out, and they pop like John Cena came through that curtain. I was like, oh, I'm over. I'm way over.
I really believe like it takes one moment in wrestling. Like you said, the guy who was cutting the promo, they didn't want to see him; they wanted to see you. But it's funny how stars are made in wrestling because, like Austin 316 said, I just whipped your, and he was made. Now wrestlers saying that. I know you wanted to see me, no, but they want to see Carmen Chaos. And it's funny how fans they see something in a wrestler and it just wrestling I think is really cool like that because stars can be made in any different type of way, whether it's a promo or a match, heel turn, face turn. It's the list just goes on and on and on.
Absolutely. Because, we actually tried teasing me a heel turn. I got tired of losing and things like that. So I had a cage match where I snapped. But the thing is that the girl was, pretty over. And whenever I was there as a heel, oh, they did not boo me. They were chanting for me to kill her. I said, oh no. So there's me like bashing her head against the cage, choking her and stuff. And the kids were just screaming like, John Cena was there. And I was like, good, good. There's me just brutalizing this poor girl. And they're like, yeah.
I just want everybody to know watching this episode of Off the Top Rope Live on the CEV Sports Podcast Network. As we do on every show, I got the comment section on there. You want to comment on the show? You got any questions for Carmen? Bring the chaos, talk to her, ask her any questions you want. We are live tonight on this Monday night. Now, we all know, Carmen, we know Halloween was last night. Now, if you had to choose, would you rather take Halloween candy or being on a podcast where you could talk wrestling just all night long? What would you have to choose between the two?
Well, you'll be happy. I'm diabetic, so I'd have to pass on the candy. So definitely the podcast. Either way, the podcast wins.
I'm really interested how we all know that in wrestling, it's like I think you would definitely agree. You learn on the job. You know, you go to this territory, you go to this state, you know, gain experience. But you said West Virginia, where you're based, is struggling. Now, how is overall the wrestling scene? How is it there? Is it popping or it's not? How is
It is actually. I didn't really think that we'd be here popping and stuff, but we have some great talent. We have talent from up in your area, New York, that we have come down. Vince Steele, Johnny Santos, Kamikaze, all these guys that come in. Millennial Dragon, they are fantastic talents. We actually have our current women's champion, who I'm looking forward to a rematch against. It's Anastasia Morningstar, and she is a powerhouse. Let me just tell you. I've never been woman handled in my life up until I faced her. So that's why I'm like, I need to get in some gymnastics. I need to learn some speed because I have never been power bombed before in my life up until I faced her.
now you talk about this match like pretty much putting the match over and promoting it on the show. Now, when we look at who's going to wrestle as fans, myself included, you look at this person does this person does that. Now, you and her wrestle in order to be the women's champions. I know you got some belts coming your way. What do you have to do to overcome that power that she brings? I mean, you got to dodge and weave and get away from that.
Oh, for sure, because I'm gonna have to use speed, and luckily I'm learning a more high flying pace of style. So then I'm definitely gonna have to full on, tap into my inner Rey Mysterio in order to be her, because she has that power and strength that I've normally been the one that's kind of stronger and more fit, but I've never had somebody out muscle me. So I know that I had, my hands full, but I know for a fact with me being able to adapt to a different kind of style that I'm going to come, because our next show is next year. Unfortunately, we're taking some time off, but that's just more time for me to be, in the gym, gymnastics and stuff, that I will be able to do some crazy things.
Now, it's really cool you brought Rey Mysterio, and you should watch this match when you want to get ready for this title match. You should definitely research. It was from SmackDown. It had to be 2004, 2005. Rey Mysterio against Brock Lesnar, and Rey Mysterio
100%.
Rey Mysterio had a good idea. It kind of didn't work out for him in the end. He just kept kicking Brock Lesnar out the ring and let Brock Lesnar chase him, and Brock Lesnar got winded. But at the end, Brock Lesnar, sorry, got a hold of him, and we know how the rest pretty much came.
Well, it's Brock Lesnar. What can you
Brock
really
Lesnar.
expect?
So, but you should definitely, if you want to get some notes on your match, definitely check it out. Fans, check it out too. It was a really good matchup. Now, Carmen, everybody's watching your show live. Your fans, especially family, friends, whole West Virginia is definitely watching you on the show. Now, people that don't know a lot about you, what do you want for them to get out of this episode from off the top rope? What do you want them to learn pretty much about you, as a person, and wrestling?
I want them to learn that, no matter what you are going through, that you can be able to do anything that you really set your mind to. Because, you try to think about the boundaries that you face, because here that we have, poverty, and, we have a lot of different struggles facing us, but the struggles only make you stronger. So I want you to know that, whatever that you try to set your mind to, if you really want to do it, you can, that there's nothing that will absolutely stop you.
And that's a cool way to put it. And you just want people to work. You're doing working hard. Don't tell nobody you can't do anything. And speaking of can't do anything, I know you've done it all. I mean, you've been wrestling a lot of promotions, big time pro wrestling, which I want to talk about in a little bit. Now, have you, if you had to take maybe whatever promotions you've done, what if you could name maybe two promotions you competed for? What do you think you brought to them differently? Like I brought this to this promotion and that to that promotion. If you had to look at it that way.
If I do look at it that way, kind of BTW is my home ground. That is definitely the one that has watched me grow. Because I mean, they were there for my first match. They are there for my chase for this women's title. We had another show where we did in Cleveland, where we had some like lucha talent stuff. And the thing is that I actually brought out some lucha moves. You know, I had a head scissors takedown. I actually like I went for a hurricanrana. It did not go great, but I still went for it. You know, you actually can like bring these different styles because you know whenever you have these crowds, you know you can it kind of gives you like a new slate. You're like, all right, but with that new slate, I did a show in Man, West Virginia. I'm liked everywhere else, but man, I don't know what was into me whenever I was in Man, West Virginia. But I was in a bad mood, I guess, because I was hated. I was outright hated it. And do not worry, it was nothing to do with who I am, anything like that. I just decided to be a monster that day. So I got on the mic and told them that they were all trash. And well, I had the yeehaw crowd going wild. So that's the
Yeah.
one city I'm well liked, except Man, West Virginia, for sure.
I'll say this: when it comes to, and matter of fact, it brings me to ask you. I know you're probably at the point where you want to get booked. Any promotion that says bring the chaos, come to us. What promotions are on your radar? What states? I know a lot of wrestlers say they want to travel, different, overseas. Now, what's really what has you drawn from the mouth where you want to say, I want to go to that promotion and bring the chaos there? What's on your menu for the future?
Well, I do have to say that there is a promotion in Tennessee I have been looking at. They are 127 Pro Wrestling. I'm not going to say when, but I'm just going to go ahead and let y'all know. Keep your eyes out because I've been doing some scouting there, and they are a pretty good brand. And if they give me the word, I'm going to come in. And I promise you, whenever I do come in, I'm coming for that belt because I promise once I get one belt, I'm going to come for them all because I promise if there is a champion that is meant to be the champion, it is obviously the goddess. So clearly I have to get my roundabouts, but that's definitely on the indie scenes for me. And also there's a couple different brands, and also of course the big ones like Impact, WWE, AEW. I'm not gonna lie, at the drop of a hat. and I, what
Oh, no
makes it
doubt.
great is that I like I said I have a marketability, but I don't want to use the fact that just because I'm trans that I should get something. I really want to be able to earn it. Like I want them to be like, oh, that's great, but how are you in the ring?
Yeah.
That's what I think should make the difference because I want to be the best that I can be in the ring, but also be a kind of representation for like people like me to where they're growing up and then they can look and be like, wow, she overcame all this and she's a professional wrestler on TV.
Well, I think one thing that you're really blessed with and that helps you in your favor, Nyla Rose, AEW, you never know. Because, I mean, you got Cody and Tony Khan, they bring you in, they say, Carmen, go out in the ring and bring the chaos. I think wrestling is such like a big networking thing now. And the sky's the limit for you.
100%. And I used to kind of, as we all do, you get in your head, but I'm definitely learning that now that I'm taking the extra effort by like constantly going to the gym, having photo shoots, having you know gymnastics. It's just an extra thing to kind of just build me up this perfect resume to where whenever I am ready to go to a big step, the sky's going to be the limit for me.
Now, I definitely follow you Facebook. Like I said, I really enjoy some of the passion words you put on your Facebook, motivation things. I want to bring up a clip for everybody to watch, and I'm sure this clip will watch you. Now, I'll tell you this clip. What do you think about when you see this clip? I'm just going to bring it up for everybody watching live
Uh,
right now.
it
So
surprised me too.
yeah, so I had to bring this up, and of course, it's definitely it motivated me because there's doubters out there. So I'm sure that probably means a lot to you because you're being for real. Like, if you're not going to ride with me, then hey, kick rocks.
That's
So there,
right.
that
I,
that
I,
that
I'm a little
really.
nervous about about what you're about to show.
But I really definitely that touched me, and people who are haters, I think is a lot of jealousy. So and they're just going to do what they do. Now we are actually pretty much getting towards the end of this episode, which of course chaos, just chaos, because we know one lady who brings the chaos in the ring, Carmen Chaos, of course. Now on every show, I do a segment, and I call this segment "Damn Ty, that's pretty good." Now it's a question where you really got to think. Now you ready to hear the question?
I'm ready.
So Carmen Chaos, she actually gets her own very own creative match, her own match. This is your match. Now, it's never been done before. What type of match would it be, and what would you call the match using the word chaos?
Ooh. Uh, I always watching, Impact, and I know that they used to have a kind of like Ravens Funhouse back in the day. So I think that I would have like a kind of chaos funhouse. But the weapons would of course be like these out of the ordinary, like of course it'd be like, the usual thumbtacks, everything like that. Like I have a little bit of hardcore in me. Don't let it fool you. Cause I know for a fact that, a lot of times, these women's wrestlers, they think that we're just a pretty face. No, I promise you, I've seen some hardcore girls with thumbtacks and everything else. So I think that I would have, thumbtacks, kendo sticks, tables, ladders, kind of like the SmackDown versus Raw envious video game player I would be, where I'd pull out every single weapon I could.
Matter of fact, speaking of which, I mean, you said you don't mind getting hardcore. We saw actually on Dynamite, Abaddon and Britt Baker, they were busted up and beat each other
That
up.
the
So
thumbtacks to the mouth, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'd go pretty far. But right there, I was like, "Oh, she has a mouthful," and then she just got super kicked. I said, "Oh, that is not for me."
now, Carmen, I'm sure you want to get better, get noticed out there. You're definitely that ladder is getting taller and taller for you of success, and we're all proud of you. Your fans, Ion. Now, moving forward, what are two things as a wrestler that you want to improve? I mean, something in the ring, promos, like what's something that you really want to where you feel you're there, but it just needs more tweaking. Like, what would that be moving ahead in your wrestling career?
Definitely being able to show off these moves and stuff that I'm here learning, because a lot of times that you have different opponents, but one that now that I have, that is strong enough, like I'm gonna actually have to use some wrestling ability more than just punches and kicks in order to beat them. So I'm kind of excited to show off like these actual moves I can do, while also I think another part would definitely be promos, because you can always, you could have the best in-ring talent that you can be, but unless you can mix both talent and promos, it's not going to work. So you gotta have both.
I've always thought in wrestling, somebody can really have the greatest promos, but when it comes to them wrestling, it's like, then it's vice versa. But every wrestler is different. But now, I definitely believe you'll get there, and your promos. I mean, you're already there. It's like you're there. It's just like you reach that, and like you said, you want to get better, and there's nothing wrong with that.
100%, because I think that whenever it comes time that I would rather have a time come whenever I feel like that I am the best that I can be, rather than it come too early. So I would rather have these times in the indies, and have these times where I'm building up the a basic resume to be the top entertaining wrestler that I know I can be, than just have this time come too early. And that's often a downfall whenever you see these up and comers and they try to, push themselves into this new spot, job and things like that. But then you end up stuck there in that role. You don't want to end up stuck there. That's the kind of fate that, happens, is that, you try to take that shot too early, and then you're stuck there in jobber mode, because they'll be like, "Weren't you just losing every match a year ago?" And it's like, well,
Well, I gotta say, if I was in the ring and I had to get some advice, and Carmen Chaos gave me the advice, I definitely would take it. Now, Carmen, from 1 to 10, would you come back on off the top rope again and party it up with your boy Ty Asbury?
Oh, 10, 10 any day.
10.
Absolutely. Straight Ty Dillinger tens.
um, so what's up next for you? All your fans want to know where are you bringing the chaos next in your wrestling career? Let everybody know what's up next for Carmen Chaos.
Chaos. Currently, I like I said, I'm scouting right now. I've been watching some 127 pro wrestling, so they should definitely watch out for there because I'm not going to say when, not going to say how, but I promise Chaos will hit there. So I would definitely watch out there. And then coming up next year, big time wrestling will be back, and I know for a fact February I got my match against Anastasia Morningstar. And the thing is that from now till February, I'm gonna be hitting that gym and hitting these training sessions. So you're gonna see a different Carmen come out, and I think that Carmen is definitely going to have potential to be women's champion for sure.
Well, from now until that time, when you have that match, I'm gonna be watching you on Twitter, Facebook, and see where you're at. I know you want it's all gonna be money and where you at because we're all gonna be watching what you're doing too because we're all fans supporting one, the only Carmen Chaos from Big Time Pro Wrestling. If you had a treat for Halloween last night, you had a treat tonight. You had the chaos tonight. My live guest tonight on the show was Carmen Chaos. Carmen, thank you very much for coming on the show. It
Thank
was
you
an
for
honor.
having me.
It was an honor to have you, and God bless. Stay safe and keep bringing the chaos.
Thank you. Thanks again. I'm definitely going to be watching you too, though.
Oh yeah, hey, it's no problem with that. I'm your boy Ty Asbury. Thank you for watching this episode of Off the Top Rope Live on the CEV Sports Podcast Network, the Ropes Media. I'm out of here. Have a great night. Be safe. Peace out, and thanks for watching. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to watch the best wrestling podcast around with
That
some
was good.
sizzle, it is Off the Top Rope. Yeah, yeah.